Again, the Sabres reportedly set to acquire 11th year defenseman Colton Parayko, member of Team Canada at the Olympics. He's been with the Blues his entire career, was a young stud when they won their Stanley Cup 8 or so years ago, whatever year that was.
That was 19, I think.
19?
Yeah.
All right. Was within a year, so I'll take it.
You were close, yeah.
I threw in the Orso.
You were in the ballpark, yeah. And I'm not even positive. I think 19 is the year, but I'm not 100% sure.
I know, Bulldog, that Calgary won in 1989. That's one thing I know. Recently, it gets tougher for me.
And you can never take that away from them.
Or me.
Right.
Until I forget it.
Right.
Paul Hamilton with us now on the Wester hotline. This isn't going to come cheap, Paul, if the reports are correct. The first-round pick, Mertka, from last year, maybe this year's two. Sounds like 2 firsts, if you think of it that way, for a player who's got a pretty big contract. What do you think?
Yeah, and a guy who's, 32 years old, will be 33 in May. So, this is what this new general manager does. I mean, he goes for it. And, he's thinking of now. He's not thinking about X amount of years down the road or anything like that. He's thinking about now. And so that, that's the way they're going to go about their business. You knew that when he was hired, that that's the way he will do things. And this guy is still, at age 32, a premier defenseman in the National Hockey League. I mean, it's not like you're getting somebody that's on the way down. He could be on the way down in the next couple of years, but again, that's not what he's worried about. He's worried about the here and now. The Sabres do have, other young defensemen too that are coming on the right side. So it's not, it's not like the cupboard is bare. I think Mertka overall is the best one, but Adam Kleber is considered an excellent defenseman. He was a second-round pick the year before in 2024. He's at the University of Minnesota Duluth. And, he's played on the World Junior team for Team USA. So, he is still around. I think Mertka, from what I've seen, might turn out to be the better player, and he was a higher draft pick. But, it's and Sturbeck is another one. Sturbeck played, I believe, Michigan State. And he's 20 years old, and he was a second-round pick in 2023. Both big, both right-handed shooting defensemen. So it's not like the cupboard is bare when it comes to young defensemen like that. So I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, I'm not worried about so much that Mertka is involved, but seeing another number one, like seeing that price – we haven't seen yet, Paul, and this often is like maybe the last piece of the trade that gets leaked out is salary retention. And to me, if I want to get all the way there on Parayko, because I can see they're a better team tomorrow, or as soon as Parayko is in the lineup than they were last night. If he's here, because a future one and Mertka, who's playing junior hockey, aren't helping me right now anyway. So in the short term, I'm good. And I'm especially okay if they're keeping 50% of this money moving forward. But if they're not, and I've just added 4 more years of $6.5 million to Matt Decor that already has Power getting paid and Dahlin getting paid. Samuelson's a pretty modest contract, but there's a lot of term there. And Byram, I guess, is shorter, right? There was only a 2-year deal for him. It's just a big contract for a guy that's on the wrong side of the age curve to me. But if it's cut in half, I'm going to be a much easier sell.
Yeah, and again, either way, I think you have to just look at it at what you're getting, and it's 6.5 is not a big contract for a guy like Parayko. You would think that would cost you a lot more for a guy of that kind of talent. 6.5 for a defenseman down the road is not going to be considered that. But again, we're talking about age as you get down to 2029-30, which is how long his contract goes to. It's the price of doing business. It's the Sabres have a lot of young players They don't need draft picks right now, and they don't need young players right now. Now, you don't want to put the cupboard bare,
Right.
but if you're giving up one first-round pick, well, you're basically giving up two. I mean, if what the reports are right, one that's already been drafted and one that hasn't, that's the cost of doing business. And you still, as I mentioned, have guys that are considered to be very good prospects coming through the system.
Sabres reportedly trading for Colton Parayko of the Blues, Canadian Olympian. When have the Sabres ever had a Team Canada Olympian on their roster? I mean, this comes after the Olympics, of course, but still. Brian Mazurowski, clever. Good to do this after last night, he says, because of the ceremony. Well, Paul, I think I know the answer to this, and you've kind of already said it again here, but from our conversations about the deadline and what you like most for the Sabres, this is pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah, and, wouldn't surprise me maybe if, I know they like Kesselring and part of a trade. Wouldn't surprise me if he becomes part of a trade out, or if they just want to stay with the depth. But right now, Kesselring might be the guy without a uniform on. Once Parayko gets here, he may be up in the press box. So, it just depends, how things break down. So I could maybe see, especially when we're talking about money and salary cap and that type of thing, especially since Kesselring also needs a contract, I could see maybe that he could be on the way out possibly.
What do you think of that?
Of what, Kesselring being an odd man out here? I like him moving forward. This year, I mean, it's been a lost year, and I don't know if I don't know that I would want to be so sour on him to say get him out of here. I still think he can help you, but he needs. You said it a month ago, Paul. Like, sit him until he's healthy, and if he's not going to be healthy all year, just get somebody else. Maybe that's what this is, like you're saying.
Maybe,
but I wouldn't be quick to, unless somebody's dying to have him and it's a deal that I can't pass up or whatever. But I'm not eager to divest myself. I'm eager to improve on him for now, and this clearly does that, no question. I'm just really curious to see how he'll end up fitting in here, because, Paul, the way I've talked about this team, I think everyone knows this, that listens to us on a regular basis. Those top 4D are their thing, right? And that's puck moving, and that's in and out of the zone, and it's cycling out high in the offensive zone. And I'm just not sure if Parayko ends up pulling down minutes in the top 4 because of his size and his physical nature, and they want that maybe a little more balance. I feel like I might be losing something when I'm, he's out there with Owen Power, and it gets to Parayko, and like, okay, the play's over now. You know what I mean? Like, he's just not a guy that I don't want the puck on his stick in the offensive zone. And those other 4 guys, absolutely anytime, all 4 of them, get them the puck. They're going to make good plays with it. Parayko's got a big shot, and he's a mean defender. I'm just not sure I want him paired up with somebody that's used to making plays.
And I'm not, when I say that, it's not because I'm sour on
Kesselring.
It's just I look at it that, there are only 6 jerseys to put on, and moving forward. So where does he fit in when your defense is healthy? I don't, just quickly going through my mind, I don't see where he fits in. And that's all I'm saying. It's not that I'm soured on him, or I was.
Yeah.
When they acquired him, I really, really liked what I saw last, in the World Championships, and even when he was with Utah, I really. But I'm thinking, okay, there's Samuelson, there's Dahlin, there's Power, and there's Bo Byram. I don't put him past any of them. I don't put him past Parayko. So I guess there's one more spot.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about that. So you could look at it that way. So wait a minute, there is a spot for him. There's one more spot there that if you're looking to put somebody in there. So it's not like it's necessary you have to, but this puts a lot more money into your blue line now, and this is a guy that also needs a contract.
Boy, that's a really close one for me. You know, they could do it. They don't have to do it at all. And we've lived through the cupboard ending up bare on the blue line in a playoff run before, although that's a long time ago. They don't have to do it 1 year RFA, but if somebody came calling and could help you replenish or even be a roster player. I mean, I'm wondering here, Paul, as we're talking, it's still 2 more days, and this obviously shows an aggressiveness from the Sabres that isn't surprising, given what it sounded like. Could they do something else? You've traded your number 1 pick now, which interestingly is in a draft that they'll be hosting. Kind of a bummer in that respect, if it ends up being that, like the reports are saying. But what more might they have room for and perhaps an appetite for?
Yeah, from a salary cap standpoint, it's kind of you've pretty much put yourself in a spot, money in, money out right now. Moving
right,
forward.
this gobbles up most of the room they had.
Right.
If it's the full boat, which again we're waiting. I'm very hopeful that it won't be, given the price they paid, because I think usually the price paid indicates some salary retention. And so anyway, but go ahead, Paul. I didn't mean to do that.
And it could be. I mean, you're right. I mean, what you're getting at is right. I mean, usually it's like, well, we want more for this player, and it's like, okay, if you want more for this player, we'll do it, but you're going to have to keep some money. You know, you're going to have to help us out that way. Just think of the last time the Sabres had a trade with the St. Louis Blues. They got 2 players that didn't work out very well, that they didn't want, but they had to take in the O'Reilly trade, and Sobotka and Berglund.
Yeah.
They didn't want either one of them.
Berglund
they
quit
had to
hockey.
take them. Yeah.
Well, quit the NHL. Right. Yeah.
So, and that was part of it. It's like, all right, you want to make this deal, whatever, you're going to have to take these 2, and they did. So that very often is what you're talking about is exactly right. It's, okay, this is going to be a steep price, and we'll do that, but you're going to have to help us out here with some money.
And, of course, Thompson came in that very trade from the Blues. There's nothing – well, we've seen one report that Parayko isn't believed to have waived his no-trade clause to this point. Paul, what's the timeline on that? Wouldn't that have to happen before everybody starts running with this like it's done?
Well, you probably are talking to the wrong guy when it comes to rumors and that kind of stuff. I'm not big on rumors. But this seems to be not just one guy talking about this. This seems to be people universally talking about this. So it's kind of past that point. Yeah, I mean it's and nobody's saying it's like, well, he can still put the kibosh on this type of a thing. So you would think he and his agent, if they aren't there, they are basically there. And, if figure, because don't forget, too, a lot of these people have put the Buffalo Sabres on their no trade, whether the ones that have a partial no trade. They did it when they signed their contract, when the Buffalo Sabres were nowhere. And the Buffalo Sabres hadn't been in the playoffs since 2014, and nothing looked like it was even remotely positive in that sense. So things have changed quickly in the Buffalo Sabres organization. So you look at it that way, I think more guys might be willing to waive it. It's not necessarily weather and that type of thing. If you are a good team, people will come. Nobody wanted to come to the Buffalo Bills until Josh Allen and McDermott showed up. And then all of a sudden winning started. Then all of a sudden, okay, yeah, cool, let's go to the Buffalo Bills. Let's go play on that team. The Buffalo Sabres had no problem getting people to come to Buffalo when Drury and Briere were on the team, or when Dominik Hasek was helping them to the Stanley Cup Finals. They had no problem having people come to play for the Buffalo Sabres. So winning is what talks about it. And what this team is doing now, I think, will raise some eyebrows from an agent and a player to say, you know what? What do you think? Maybe should we rethink this? And that's what a season that they're having, and they just keep showing that, you know what, this is going to end. And just when people think it might be ending, and they keep saying, no, it's not. we're going to win again. And now people are saying, well, they basically are going to be in the playoffs. They're right on the tail of the Tampa Bay Lightning for number 1 in the conference.
Yeah.
When does the rug get pulled out?
Right.
Well, it hasn't yet.
Yeah, I do want to say I do like. I mean, I loved yesterday thinking about them being so aggressive to go try to get Robert Thomas, and so the aggressiveness point going for it, I think, is totally called for. I talked a lot about this yesterday, Paul. Given the conference, they are right on Tampa's heels. There's not a team in the conference anyway that looks like their world's better than them, right? So, you should treat it as though you can get in the playoffs and not just be happy to be there, but that you could make some noise when you're there. And this absolutely is something that points to that. So I'm not all sour about it. I'm just the money is kind of freaking me out. And like I said already, I'm a little worried about where he'll slot in part because of his reputation and his style. They may feel like they want to mess with those top 4 and put Parayko higher up in the lineup than what I was necessarily thinking they should be shopping for, which was just an upgrade to their third pair so they can play them more than, the sheltered minutes that they're using Metsä in, for example. But that all remains to be seen, like what role he'll have, where he'll fit in, and how it will all fit together.
See, this fits exactly what I've been talking about. And I actually would envision maybe a third pair. But a third pair that plays
right
18 to 20 minutes and takes some of those minutes off those other 4. I'd be all for that. I don't think he necessarily has to be in the top 4. But you can still get him at 18 to 20 minutes, and as I said, take minutes away from 3 of the 4 guys. I don't necessarily think you need to take minutes away from Dahlin, but the other 3, yeah, because I just think they're going to fatigue out. So this is exactly what I've been talking about, and yeah, put him on a third pair, and but be working him in because. The way they set things up, I mean, Murtka goes in warm-ups as a left defenseman. I don't think he ever plays left defense during the game. It's just that's the way he warms up. But they just kind of keep working him in at times. And then they'll work the other guy in at times, if it happens to be Bryson or somebody else.
Yeah, you meant Metsä here, you said Murtka by mistake. I think you meant Metsä.
I'm sorry,
right?
Metsä. And Kesselring. It's like, well, they're both right-handed shooting defensemen, and you watch warm-up, Metsä plays left defense in warm-up. I don't know if he's taking a shift at left defense.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's like, okay, this shift, Kesselring's going to play right, and Dahlin's going to play left. And next time one of them that you want to put one of them out, then Metsä's going to go out there, and Power's going to play left. That's how the minutes of those top 4 are rolling up because they all get an extra shift with whoever you want to throw out there at the time. Then by the end of the night, Kesselring and Metsä might have 10 to 12 minutes that they're playing, and one of them can still do that. Where I would rather Parayko be on that third pair and be maybe up towards 18-20 and bring in the minutes of some of the other guys down.
Do you think that there is any chance that they've made this move with a mind towards moving someone like Owen Power or Bowen Byram, Paul?
I never say never. That's not what I'm envisioning. That's happening here.
Yep.
But I never say never, especially with this guy. I mean, we know what he's done in Columbus, but here he is in Buffalo, and his first move is a swing. It's a heavy swing. It's a swing that we really haven't seen since Tim Murray, when Tim Murray's bringing in O'Reilly, and he's bringing in Kane, and he basically did empty the shelves. But he got too carried away because now he was giving up first-round picks for Leonard and that type of thing. So it almost got irresponsible there. So, we haven't seen anything like this before, but he did it in Columbus and wasn't afraid to do it. And now his second trade, his first trade was a trade for the Rochester Americans. The second trade now is a big swing. And it shouldn't be surprising to any of us.
Boy, I mean, I shouldn't say never, but the Sabres have almost never had this kind of team before, where defensively they are so rich. And I mean, some people are going to question this trade for that reason alone. Like, just is that really where we're weakest? But I think I love it. I mean, I don't know how good the guy is anymore. I'm reading some of that. I have a ton of respect for Travis, and his problem with the trade is he doesn't think Parayko is Parayko anymore.
Right.
And then you've got the years ahead and everything like that. But they've just never been. When Sabres history has their blue line been their strength? You know, like just the 506, 607 teams
Never.
were witchy, and
Yep.
you know, you had the Hasek era, French Connection.
Yep.
They've never come close to like a Norris Trophy or anything like this. Now you've got Dahlin at the top of it, and this young group of defensemen added to this group now is Parayko from this move. I'm super excited. I mean, fans are already, but they've just really never kind of had this makeup before.
And the thing is with Parayko, is he what he was 5 years ago? Yeah, probably not. It's close, though. I mean, Team Canada is not going to take him and put him on the roster if he's not close to what he used to be. He might not be exactly what he used to be, but I don't think the Sabres need him to be exactly what he used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But he's close enough right now that he can fill the role I'm talking about easily, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he has slipped that much. I don't disagree with the fact that he's slipped a little probably, but he's not on Team Canada if he slipped a lot.
I don't know if you guys watch or not, but Team Canada didn't win.
Well, this guy never scored.
I'm just saying.
This guy never scored.
All right. All kidding aside.
One goal all season.
Paul, I got lost in Robert Thomas land yesterday, and that was a pleasant surprise that the Sabres were thought to be shopping for a player of that caliber. Do you think that's a sign that they will, get in the market for, I don't know, like what are we talking about beyond? I mean, Thomas is like singularly 26-year-old, 8-point-a-game centerman. There's not another guy like him on the list of guys that we think are going to be traded. Maybe there's a guy out there that is not on anybody's list, but do you think they'll go shopping for Vincent Trocheck now or Nazem Kadri, like any other depth forward that could give them a guy on draws, a guy to help kill penalties, a guy to play defense when the playoffs get here?
It's impossible to say not knowing what the money situation is and where they are.
Right, with the right.
Where are they at the salary cap? And we're not going to know until we know if the Blues are hanging on to some money here. If the Blues are not hanging on to some money here, they can't unless it's money in, money out.
Right.
It can't be, well, we'll give you a couple of picks for one of those guys you just mentioned. Kadri comes rather expensive.
Yes.
So really, I'm not trying to dodge your question, but it's impossible to answer it. If money has not changed, if the Blues are not keeping money, the answer is no. They're not going to do that because they can't. They just don't have the salary cap unless they have decided to send somebody out somebody's money. Or have they decided, again, this is not, I'm just saying, has a decision been made on Tuck? We've heard nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
We've just heard, negotiations continue. But if, and I'm saying if,
mm-hmm.
not that I've heard this, I'm saying if they've come to the decision that there is just too big of a gap to bridge here, and, all right, well, does he move out then? And then does this trade you're talking about happen because you freed up some money, to try to do that?
Right.
If you just have decided, you know what, we're too far apart and we're just not going to get there, even if we keep negotiating till July 1st, we just don't feel we're going to get there. Their version of what they think he's worth is a lot different from our version. We don't seem to be getting there. So could that happen before Friday? If that's what they're thinking, and I want to stress, I'm saying if. I have heard nothing to say that that's what anybody is thinking or anything like that. But who knows? Who knows what's happening behind closed doors?
All right, Paul. By the way, in the game recap the Sabres send out from last night in this case, It did say on there that Kekalainen is scheduled to speak Friday at 4. So the deadline is 3 o'clock Friday, and the Sabres put that out today or whenever, last night or today, in that format. So
yeah, and it could, if they know for sure they're done. Sometimes they know like by quarter 3 they're done or whatever. Sometimes it happens earlier. I wouldn't hold them to a time. I would just, that they're just kind of saying he's going to talk afterwards type of thing, and it could be 4. But if they know they're done and it's just not going to be any more, I've had GMs walk in at 10 after 3 just because they knew they were done. I've had GMs walk in at 5 because the NHL can't handle trades, and at 4:30 they're still trying to process trades, and then one of the Sabres trades hasn't been processed yet. And I'm sitting there going, what year are we in right now?
Right. The fax machine is jammed.
Are you kidding me?
What is wrong with you people? Is this Office Space? Let's get it together.
Who was the fax machine player?
Michael Zigamanis.
Yes. Good pull.
Yes,
All right.
That is a good bill.
Thanks for jumping on with us, Paul.
Yeah, anytime, guys.
There you go. There's our Paul Hamilton. Yeah, I don't know. More to come. We'll see. Trade deadline is not until, like Mike just said, Friday at 3. Paul's appearance with us today brought to you by